On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. We are moving into a weird place right now, and I'm seeing so much different information. I don't know where you guys are at in the scheme of things. You're obviously watching my channel, so you're just getting what I'm feeding you. But I ingest a lot, and I put out what I put out. We have so many people that are trying to tear down what's happening. We've got so many interesting situations where someone close to Trump falls away. We're going to talk about that guy again. I forget his name. I've got Mike Lindell. I had him on my show. We're going to talk a bunch about what he's got going on, and that's actually kind of cool. It was actually a pretty good little discussion we had, frankly. I feel like I asked a couple good questions, too. We'll see what you guys think about that. An amazing sale. Whenever I have him on, by the way, we have a huge sale with My Pillow stuff. You guys, like, we're one of 3-4 channels. He even said it. Like, we're one of 3-4 channels, guys. My coupon code on My Pillow is something special. So we've got some very, very cool stuff. They're moving the factory, so they need to get some people to buy some stuff. The Giza sheets, as cheap as I've ever seen them. Topper, they got this crazy topper deal they're doing right now. It's insane. 30% off, and then it's insane on top of that. So we'll talk about that. Iran war is kind of an interesting thing. A lot of winding down, and Trump is actually kind of joking around a little bit. I don't think I have the Truth Post pulled up, but talking a little bit about how, what would happen if we just say, like, finished the military thing that we were planning on doing and then just kind of pull out and let you all worry about the Strait of Hormuz. Like, that's not really our problem. And maybe forcing other countries to have to deal with it. China might have to actually send some of their military over there. Maybe. I mean, if we're not over there, and there's no American ships, really, and there's a few that have gotten through, a couple that got attacked. I mean, it's, it is what it is. So a lot of things happening. And the push against Trump is amazing. And it's so interesting to see who all's coming out, in my opinion. Again, there's people that were on our side. Tucker Carlson, I don't know what's going on, but this dude is like, he's off the deep end, I think, a little bit. I mean, there's people that I trusted back in the day. Tucker would have been one of them. Brett Baer, hell, I liked him for a period of time until that election. I'll never forget that day. I mean, again, it's been part of the process. For me, anyways. I don't know about you guys. May not agree with me, but it has been a process nonetheless. So we've got a lot to talk about, and I think I got a decent show put together for you guys. Now, the Democrats the SAVE Act vote happened today. And it actually kind of worked out, I guess, better than we were wanting. I want to kind of get through this, but Thune said, he told everybody, put him on record. He's like, look, here's the deal. This is a very popular thing. And I've got actually a decent bit of his speech. We're going to play it. It's a very popular thing. You all are going to go on record. And he's talking to the Democrats specifically. He's like, trust me, we will use this against you. Now his threat ended up not working, but here is Rep. Annapolina Luna is saying she's informed Leader John Thune that they're going to do this 60-vote cloture thing on Save America Act. He knows the vote's going to fail, but it's actually, his speech is actually pretty good here. I wanted to share this.
Mr. President, today we are kicking off an extended debate on the Save America Act, a package of common sense measures united around two themes: protecting our elections and protecting our youth. You're going to hear me use the adjective common sense a lot in this debate, Mr. President, because if there's any word that is suitable to describe the measures we're considering, it's that. Mr. President, if there's anything essential to the integrity of elections, it's ensuring that those who are registered to vote are eligible to vote, and that those who show up to vote at polling places are those who they say they are. And how do you do that? Well, by requiring that Americans show proof of citizenship when they register to vote, and that they show photo ID at polling places. That's what the Save America Act would do. It's just common sense. And polls show that the American people overwhelmingly agree. But to hear Democrats talk, you'd think that demonstrating citizenship or showing a photo ID is an intolerable burden. And yet, Mr. President, I haven't heard Democrats complaining about the 1,000 other circumstances in which we require photo ID in this country. Democrats are aware that Americans have to show photo ID to get on a plane, right? And to start a new job. And when they head to the doctor's office. And to rent a car. And to stay in a hotel. Heck, if you want to get a library card, you have to show a photo ID. The Democrats remember their 2024 convention when attendees had to show a photo ID to get in. The senior Democrat senator from Georgia required photo ID to get into his recent rally. Mr. President, did Democrats hear themselves? Are they going to start boycotting libraries and airplanes and hotels for requiring a photo ID? Are they going to explain why they're perfectly justified in requiring photo ID for their political rallies, why it's somehow an intolerable burden to ask people to show their photo ID when they go to vote? I expect they won't. They'll simply continue with their mindless, partisan opposition to common sense ID requirements for federal elections. Well, let's hit pause on that topic for a minute and go to another issue where common sense and the Democrat Party have parted ways. And that's on the subject of transgender ideology. In their haste to embrace medical transgender ideology, Democrats have put themselves in the absurd position of supporting the hijacking of women and girls' sports by biological males. Yep, that's right. The party that would portray itself as a defender of women has put itself on the record as willing to sacrifice women's athletic opportunities for the sake of biological males. Now, Mr. President, no one should need an explanation of what the presence of biological males in women's sports costs women. At the most basic level, women are losing out on a slot on the team. Every roster place that goes to a male is a roster place that doesn't go to a female. And for women who are on the roster, well, the presence of a biological male can, and frequently does, rob them of opportunities to excel. Biologically, men possess physical advantages when it comes to sports, things like greater muscle mass and greater aerobic power, which means that, by and large, men are likely to dominate in women's sports, taking wins and medal opportunities away from women. In an August 2024 United Nations report on violence against women and girls, they had this to say about the results of men participating in women's sports, and I quote, "According to information received by March 30th, 2024, over 600 female athletes in more than 400 competitions had lost more than 890 medals in 29 different sports," end quote. Over 600 female athletes in more than 400 competitions have lost more than 800 medals in 29 different sports. The Save America Act would ensure that men are not allowed to hijack women's sporting opportunities. And yet, once again, we expect my Democrat colleagues to oppose keeping women's sports for women. Mr. President, the idea that a female high school athlete might lose out on a college scholarship because her achievements were overshadowed by those of a biological male on her team is bad enough. But an even more dangerous consequence of the embrace of transgender ideology is that children who have become victims of irreversible gender transition procedures, and when I say children, I mean children, Mr. President, young men and women who are not old enough to vote, who are years away from being able to legally drink, who still need parental permission to take medicine at school. The New York Times reports, and I quote, "A review of hospital data from 2016 through 2020 identified about 3,600 patients aged 12 to 18 who had received gender-related surgery," end quote. Age 12 to 18. Can you imagine that, Mr. President? Can you imagine allowing a child not yet out of middle school to receive a medical procedure that will result in permanent mutilation of part of her body? This madness has to end. Multiple European countries have acted to rein in gender transition procedures for minors, and so have a number of U.S. states. The Save America Act would extend protection from these procedures to all children, whatever state they live in. Common sense measures, Mr. President, require proof of citizenship to register to vote, require a photo ID at the polls, protect women's sports from being hijacked by biological males, and protect teenagers from life-altering, irreversible gender transition procedures. Measures, I might add again, Mr. President, supported by a majority of Americans. And measures we expect my Democrat colleagues to oppose. It's unfortunate that common sense is not very common. anymore in the Democrat Party.
We walked them into a trap. That was why I felt the whole speech was worth hearing. Because certainly my side, I've been hypercritical of Thune in the sense of this SAVE Act. I've been pretty chill on him in general because I think him and Speaker Johnson I was just thinking about it. I'm like, I'd probably be good at that job, but I would hate it and I would never want to do it, right? Like I would literally hate my job. I would like, there's no way I would do it. Like I would never want to. In a million years. I'd be excellent at it. Him having to get everybody to come together and get everybody's little pet peeve that they want in the bill and what we can't do that, but what if we did, right? That's what it's all about. Everybody's got to get their thing. Nobody thinks about this. Nobody does. Nobody talks about it either. He's literally, and Mike Johnson, except it's worse for him. He's got like 500 people he's got to talk to. But John's got to walk around and talk to everybody on his side and get their bullshit pet projects, and then talk to the majority of the other side, Schumer, and find out what crazy shit they want. And then they literally got to bring some sort of agreement together. Now, when they hold the majority, they obviously don't have to agree as much. But when it comes to this 60 vote rule nonsense, well, 10 of them have to. It's got to be bipartisan. We've got the vote that did happen. Senate just began the voting. We'll go ahead and play this. 43 seconds. What the hell? This is kind of how it played out.
The leader is correct.
Mr. President, I ask that the chair lay before the Senate the House message to accompany S 1383.
As for the yeas and nays.
Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsterbrooks. Ms. Baldwin. Mr. Banks. Aye. Mr. Barrasso. Mr. Bennett.
So they forced the vote. We don't need to play that all out. But as it played out, 50 were yays, 48 were nays. Supposedly, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski both voted yes. I believe McConnell also voted yes. Now, it looks like Fetterman didn't join us, and I would guess Rand Paul maybe voted no, just because he's such a dickhead. I don't know. I feel like I thought we had 4 Republicans, right? Don't we have 54? Am I wrong on that? Maybe it's not anymore. Maybe it's just 53 and 47, whatever. Whatever the case is, they got the vote. All Democrats, we either got 2 no votes, which might save their butts, maybe. But this is not going to be, was there worthy audio? Yeah, it's 11 seconds. That's not worth it. Again, so this is kind of what is happening. And Trump is maybe trying to work a little deal with the Democrats. Like, all right, because you hit hard and you give them the worst. And then you're like, all right, we'll pull back a little on some things and see what we get. So this is interesting news that also broke from Fox this time.
We have a letter here that has been sent by James Blair. He is the Deputy Chief of Staff at the White House, and the borders are Tom Homan to Susan Collins, who's the chair of the Appropriations Committee, and Katie Britt, the Republican senator from Alabama, who's been working on the DHS funding. And in this letter, they lay out some terms that the Democrats have been asking for. They say that, quote, they will adhere to visible officer ID for, federal officers in immigration raids. They will expand the use of body cameras, and they will limit where they enforce. In other words, they won't go to schools and houses of worship and things like that. This is significant because this is the first time we have seen any movement in weeks on the DHS, shutdown. This has been going on now for more than a month. We don't know that that will result in something, but this is significant because that's the first time we've seen some movement like that by the White House.
Well, it's clear the White House wants to get this done and wants to get DHS funding and TSA funded and all of that, especially in light of the threat that we've seen over the past several days of terrorism and alleged terrorist acts across this country. Chad, does that seem like it might be enough to bridge the gap here and to get that funding flowing again?
Well, again, this is communication between Republicans in the White House, Republicans in the Senate. We have to hear what the Democrats would say. And again, you have to get 60 votes in the Senate. So at some point, they have to get some Democrats, dialed in. We have asked Democrats at the confirmation hearing tomorrow of Mark Wayne Mullen if he gives certain promises. And if he does, would that possibly break this impasse? And again, I want to.
And again, it was a test vote, by the way. I guess this isn't the legit real vote. And so they're trying to make some deals. We need 10 Democrats. We should be able to get more than that, I think. But I get, so we're going to find out. We're going to find out some stuff through this vote. And Trump's working a deal. He's going to actually look good on this and be like, look, I tried to offer, I'm willing to show the IDs. Now, I'm just going to throw a little funny out here, right? Just between you and I. Don't tell anyone. But what's going to happen is when they do this and when they start wearing the IDs, instantly the system that the states use to check those IDs probably will not work properly, or it'll be very dependent on who the access is trying to get it from. Like there'll be a new process, new password, new setup, and it won't work on other devices that'll be tied to a device or something like that. There'll be something they'll do to make it very hard to allow others to look up the IDs so they can dox people. Or the information that's available from the lookup will just show a name and that's it. Or even blur out the last name, just the first name and picture and rank or whatever, a couple details that matter, but nothing that's identifiable. Again, this is the deal they're making, but they're not going to give the Dems what they totally want, but they're sort of, it's word games. It's word games. It's lawyers talking to other lawyers, frankly. The current military campaign going on in Iran is actually surprisingly popular in the big picture. All voters, it's 65% from the Rasmussen report. Men, 69%. Women, 59%. 18 to 29 is 54%. 30 to 39, 63%. 40 to 49, 61%. It gets higher as you get older, basically. I do find it interesting, though, that at 18 to 29, we got 54% support for what's happening. That's pretty significant, in my opinion. Now, this Joe Kent feller, he's the one that stepped down. I can't support the Iran war. I just can't. Now, again, he was the counterterrorism guy, so he leaves in the middle of how many terrorist activities? We'll get to it in a second. 4, just a heads up. But, this is Joe Kent. He's sharing one of his posts from back in 2020, January 8th, if it matters. And even mentioned at real Donald Trump because, why? Because, he was huge. This was a way to get views. And he says, at real Donald Trump, we should not sit and wait for the next attack. Wipe Iran's ballistic capability out and get our troops out of Iraq. They are only targets now. No U.S. WIA kill wounded in action, killed in action is a tribute to the professionalism of our military and intel professionals, not Iranian restraint. That was Joe Kent back then. Joe Kent today obviously is, I can't support this. Well, who got to Joe Kent? What did Joe Kent do wrong in the last 5 years, or what was he doing during the Biden administration? Because even just 3 months ago, Joe Kent was on the Sean Ryan show, and he was talking about how he thinks Iran's a threat.
They're still registering for the draft, aren't they? Like that's the logical conclusion to the direction that we're heading in right now, unless we make some serious changes.
I mean, I've already heard rumors that Fifth Group is going to be sending guys to Iraq because of the escalated situation with Iran now.
Yeah. I mean, most Americans aren't aware of it. Our troops in Iraq and Syria have been attacked 150 plus times by Iranian proxies. And when we say Iranian proxies, we got to be clear on what that is. That's the Iraqi government that we pay. Because after the Iraqi military we spent $2 trillion on surrendered to ISIS, we had to go back in there in very short order and stand the military back up again. And guess who filled the breach? The Shia militias controlled by Iran did. And the Iraqi government's controlled by Iran. So these are...
Yeah. Again, this whole situation, this was just 3 months ago, this whole situation is a little different than what all of a sudden now he's saying. Why? I mean, why? It's one really good question to ask. Now, again, I'm sure there's some people that have been told this is going to turn into World War III or something to that effect, and they're fearful, right? So, no, can't do it. I mean, and again, I get it. I just kind of know who wins this, why I'm here. I know who I work for in the big picture, you know. I know who wins. I'm not worried about, right? There's only one creator, so that's the dude I'm working for. Or it's not really a dude, but I feel like that's simplifying him too much, frankly. But anyways, I don't want to get lost on that. There's somebody that's being attacked right now because they've done something similar. There is, investigations of leakers going on. I don't know what's going on with her lips. She must have had them done or something. I don't know if I like this. Your lips get fat when you're pregnant? Fat ladies? I don't know. I've never seen that one before. I've seen the beauty stuff do it, but anyways, whatever she needs to do.
Caroline, there was news yesterday when Joe Kent, who works for Tulsi Gabbard over at the DNI, a political appointee, said he could no longer stay in his job. He was resigning over the Iran war. So he had objections. When is the last time he saw President Trump?
It's been a while. It's been a while since the president has seen him here at the White House. It's been a while since he's been involved in the process of the presidential daily briefs, and he's been actually present for the president's intelligence briefings. This was an individual who was not involved in any of the discussions pre-operation and throughout this operation. I think the president views it as deeply unfortunate that this individual, who the president gave the privilege of working for the administration, put out this resignation on government letterhead with many falsehoods throughout, essentially accusing the president of being manipulated by foreign governments. That's laughable and it's insulting. President Trump has been remarkably consistent on this issue of Iran for many, many years. Long before he ever entered politics, he has always said Iran can never possess a nuclear weapon. So anyone who works here should be well aware of the president's intentions and his peace through strength agenda and his willingness to use the United States military to achieve peace if and when necessary, as we have seen throughout Operation Epic Fury.
There are some reports that the White House considered him to be someone who was leaking. And of course, that's obviously no good when you are at the White House. You don't want somebody like that in the administration. He was never fired over that. His boss, Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, will be testifying this morning. Does the president still have full confidence in her?
He does, yes, and we look forward to watching the director's hearings today. And I think that anyone who has been suspected of leaking or is proven to be a leaker will not be welcome in this administration. I know that for a fact because I've heard the president say it myself. There are investigations underway into leakers in this administration, and people will be held accountable for that. It's unacceptable and it cannot be tolerated.
As you just heard, we told our viewers we're watching both of those hearings and they may make news.
Leakers and squeakers, man, they gotta go. They gotta go. They can't. And again, it's like Fix-A-Flat. It is not hard to find them, and I think they've got an idea who a bunch of them are. But again, some of the stuff is just they're people leaking it, even when they're not necessarily trying to use Fix-A-Flat, if you will. So they have a small issue there. But we are getting to the bottom of it, supposedly. City of Social Circle, Georgia, apparently just cut off all the water to an ice warehouse that they were planning on setting up. It's pretty crazy.
All right, Diamante, thanks for that. Leaders in Social Circle continue to fight against an incoming immigration and customs facility that was recently purchased by the Department of Homeland Security. The city's manager, Eric Taylor, telling Atlanta News First that water to the warehouse purchased by DHS along East Hightower Trail has been cut off. He says it will remain that way until DHS is able to tell leaders how water and sewer will be served without crushing the city's limited infrastructure capacity. The facility is expected to house up to 10,000 people, which would be double the population of Social Circle. And Social Circle is one of two cities in Georgia where the agency plans to build inmate detention centers. The other would be in Oakwood. That's in Hall County.
Look, I actually got to be totally honest in this case. And it's a good story. I'm glad I shared it. I hadn't actually watched it before. But, they're not wrong. If you've got a sewage system for a city that's set up for like 10,000 people, right? But because you got a bunch of land, and then all of a sudden you're going to put a jail over there with 20,000 people in the jail while you process them and then fly them out at the airport that's probably nearby. What's that going to do to that sewage system that you're obviously going to patch into? Now, can the Army Corps of Engineers get involved and put in some sort of in-between sewer system, like a pre-sewage system maybe, to help? Who knows? Help expand the capacity of the city? Who knows? Like, that might be interesting. So, again, this is a legitimate problem. Not just everything that the Trump administration wants to do doesn't have implications locally that maybe they hadn't quite factored in. And I think even Trump as a builder would be like, it's fair. I can live with that. So, not everything is necessarily horrible. I don't, this group of people have been definitely trying to keep this from happening. But if this is where they're at, I mean, well, they got a legit concern now. I'll give you that. It's too legit to quit. Hey. So let's see. Now this idea of this dude quitting, the counterterrorism job he had, because he's so sure of what Trump did as being bad. So now he leaves a post where he has made us more vulnerable. Because on March 7th, we had, 20 people protested outside Gracie mansion, and the dude threw that bomb, right? And he was yelling Allahu Akbar stuff beforehand. We had another one, too. This, do I have to say his name? Indiaga? Diagni. Serious, man? That's actually someone's name? And that's like normal, huh? Indiaga? Oh, yeah, you're one of the Diagnis? Oh, totally. I know all you guys. Oh, I went to school with the Diagnis. It's Indiagi. Diagni. Anyway, whatever. Weird names. Anyway, that happened in a bar in Austin. We had a Thursday. Dude shouted Allahu Akbar bullshit at the Old Dominion University. And then, of course, also Thursday, because it's fun to have things on doubles. We had the Jewish synagogue where the guy drove a truck in there with explosives. Right, yeah, so, no big deal. Fortunately, the kids weren't there. There's some they say now. I don't know. There's so much AI happening right now, guys. So I just want everybody to understand that. If you're watching the shows on my particular channels, I'm not using AI other than when I sometimes do compile information with it. Rarely, sometimes though, because they can pull a lot of stuff together. I was looking up that NATO, how to get out of NATO thing. Not that we do it, but it was an easy way to find some data and not have to go hunting off for 12 minutes for a stupid thought in my head. TSA is facing constitutional scrutiny. So a lot of people don't like the fact that they're there. They were created after 9/11. So many of us would probably say, hey, it'd be cool to not have them. But prior to TSA, it was actually private security, airport to airport, and it was paid for by the airlines. So if you're in Podunk Airline, your Podunk City, right, your airport's paying shit for their security. So you're going to have crap security. And because of the crap security, if you're somebody that wants to do something nefarious, that's where you fly from. Period. Done. So then now all of a sudden we end up with a bomber and see, that's why you can't do that, Donald Trump. So that's not a simple way to go to just get rid of TSA. TSA almost at this point serves a purpose, can be streamlined, should be cleaned up. Yes, all that stuff. Does it serve a legitimate purpose? At this time being, when there's actual people that want to kill other people because they're fucking crazy. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Our world's been totally like that our entire lives. So if we have less of it in any way, shape, or form, I'm going to feel like we're moving in the right direction. Personally, right? I don't know about you. We're still slaves. Nothing's changed. Hello. Still have bills, don't you? Mm-hmm. Unless you're watching me in some tent in the middle of the forest. Otherwise, yeah. You own something. They got you by the short and curlies. Senator Rick Scott says, Google, I don't know. Google's doing a bunch of messed up stuff, especially with their AI. So if you're conservative, I would say probably don't use Google AI. That's not a good idea. If you're YouTube, sorry. But yeah, you guys have a habit of censoring a lot. So anybody that's using any Google products, understand that. Now, there is some products that use their back end. I don't know if they hit the same. I don't know if the same algo applies when like DuckDuckGo hits the back end of Google. I would assume to a degree it does. And I know DuckDuckGo is not a good one, by the way. They just, I think they're one of the best options that Brave offers. So whatever, you take what you get and then you search with other stuff. All that said, you got to deal with what you got to deal with, right? We all have restrictions placed upon us. Trust me. So yeah, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But yeah, Google's doing a lot of crazy stuff. They're using their artificial intelligence to speak poorly towards conservative type sites, people, everything else. So there's a lot of misinformation, I guess, being pushed out by the Google AI. And I mean, the people that, here's the thing, any of you guys that turn on your AI on your device is the worst thing you could do with your device, probably. You've just essentially given yourself over to the deep state. Literally, they now know everything there is to know about you. Everything. They're listening to conversations you're having when you're showering, what time you do that, where you do that, which part of the house you're in, because your location's always on and the Wi-Fi is always on, the Bluetooth's always on. Everything about you they're paying attention to. I don't have anything to hide. Oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. It's unfortunate. It's happening. So you're better off not to turn that stuff on and give it permissions. The second you give it permissions, it's like having Facebook on your phone. It's just another one. That's a really bad app to have on your phone. Have it actually logged into an account. Like if you get a new phone and it's got Facebook on it, you're okay. Don't log into it. If you never log into it, it doesn't know who you are. It's just there. So, yeah, it helps. Washington man apparently identifies as transgender, was actually working in a child center, had a history of working with kids, and did all sorts of horrible, anyway, so they caught him. Crude oil is up a little, teeny bit. It's at 96 in the picture, but they've done an interesting job keeping that under the 100 mark. It's gone up over it, and even some people talked about how, but it came immediately back down. So it's one of those things that they're playing with a lot. Gold and silver prices too. Ooh, gold's even down to 48.86, folks. That's good stuff. Silver's at 76. I would totally take advantage of this right now. This is awesome. There's no way it stays there, and I'm not even. You'll see. I'm following decent people when it comes to what's the plan with the silver and gold markets. I'm not like just like and just throw darts and I'm like, I hit 12, so 12 months from now it'll be $1,200 more. No, it's not like that. We got some legit people making damn. Yeah, crypto. I was just tripping on crypto this morning because Bitcoin was like at 73 something. Like I think it broke 74 at some point. I'm like, damn, that's the highest it's been in a long ass time. And it looks like maybe Bitcoin took a bit of a crap today. I don't know why. Looks like they all happened at the same time, right? So shit, what happened? This is how you got to look at it. Nah, nothing on there. Okay, what about metals? Did they change? They moving? Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's go like that. So metals dropped at the same time. Crypto dropped at the same time. Dow Jones dropped at the same time. So some bad news came out. But where did they put it? See, the money's got to go somewhere. Right? It goes somewhere. Guys, you're watching me live just because it's just how it happens in the day, man. I'm looking at it earlier before I start recording, and, well, shit changes. Something happened around 6 a.m. Eastern time. Hard to piece all that together, but yeah. Dude, their system is a mess, man. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Seriously, if you got a 401k or an IRA, that is pre-tax money. If you take it in any way, shape, or form, you get penalized, you get taxed up the ass. Unless you're over the age, that's a totally different game. But if you're under retirement age, you want to do it and move it tax-free, penalty-free. Goldco can help you do that. They're awesome. You're going to move as much of it over tax-free, penalty-free as you can, and as much as you want, by the way. And then they actually get precious metals for you. Physical metals, yours. Actually, physical metals put into a safe, essentially, that are yours. They got a sticker on them or something to that effect, right? Probably a bag with a sticker on them. Keep them, healthy. That is yours. Now, again, can they give that to you? That's a payout. That's the same thing as paying it out. It's pre-tax money that you're protecting in a pre-tax environment. You can take payouts from it just like your 401k IRAs normally would do. But instead, you've protected some of it with precious metals. Precious metals protects buying power. I've talked a lot about it. I'm not going to go too hard into it. I'm kind of like giving some of you guys a small break. I'm trying to give the commercials in reasonable length. DRSlikesgold.com. Tax-free, penalty-free. Sideways. plus up to 10%. Meaning, if you move $100,000 from your 401k IRA, right? You want to protect $100,000 and you do that. Well, that's up to $10,000. That's $10,000. Literally. $10,000 free silver that they're tacking on. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Their system, they're playing with your money the way they want to. What if you protected some of that? And so you could buy the same thing tomorrow that you can today rather than what's happening with your Federal Reserve notes right now. Yeah, you can protect it. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of that system, whoops, while you can. Or punch yourself out of the picture. That works too. Yeah. Okay, so DNI Tulsi Gabbard, I love her. And I watched her and Ratcliffe were pretty good today. And I don't know if I saw the whole thing. I feel like I watched maybe half of it because I started watching it when it was already live. And then there was a point where I had a couple meetings today where I like had to pause it even. And I was like, Durr. And so it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Tulsi and Ratcliffe handled themselves very well. A lot of people tried to get answers or questions that they were asking too much and intentionally. And it was fun to watch because I would say every other single time in history that I've watched this same scenario play out, I never once believed the people in the government. And then I felt like the people asking the questions were like, yeah, at least you're trying to ask. But, for the most part, I'm screaming at the TV of other things they should be asking. But for once, I'm like, no, I get why they're doing this. We got one, leakers. Two, we got people that are actually doing the right thing. And they're not going to say what's happening. They're not going to say what they're doing. And that's what this is them trying to get them to admit something in a public setting that's illegal. Now, one of the key things, and again, I don't have the video. It was good. Like I said, it's worth the time, if you will, if you're interested in this stuff. Otherwise, it's not worth it. Again, chopping it up would have taken forever to do. I hope there's stuff that comes out maybe over the next day, but it was friggin' awesome. Oh, it was good. But the big thing they were talking about is imminent threat. And that Tulsi Gabbard's job is to decide what imminent threat is. And she said multiple times, no, I provide Trump with the information, I'm paraphrasing, with the information of threats, credible threats, realistic threats, legitimate threats to the United States of America. Trump has access to other information too. And so what Trump does is then up to him only solely as commander-in-chief is to decide what is an imminent threat. And then he acts on it. It's not Tulsi Gabbard's job to do that. Now, the senators were insistent that it was. And she's like, no, that is the president's job. And this is a very different place right now where they're trying to pin something like Trump's overstepped his authority, but it's like he's the commander-in-chief. And yes, we've removed all the bullshit little intermediate agencies that were not controlled by the executive branch, that were inside the executive branch, spying on the executive branch. Yeah, those people are for the most part gone. So there goes most of the leaks, the pipeline of leak. So Gabbard says, Donald Trump was overwhelmingly elected by the American people to be our president and commander-in-chief. As our commander-in-chief, he is responsible for determining what is and is not an imminent threat, and whether or not to take action he deems necessary to protect the safety and security of our troops, the American people, and our country. The Office of Director of National Intelligence is responsible for helping coordinate and integrate all intelligence to provide the President and Commander-in-Chief with the best information available to inform his decisions. After carefully reviewing all the information before him, President Trump concluded that the terrorist Islamist regime in Iran posed an immediate threat, and he took action based on that conclusion. You can think and say whatever it is to you, right? A lot of people, Israel's going to do whatever he's going to do is one of the things they're saying. Okay, believe that. I don't care. It's not worth the fight. This is what they're stating. I trust Trump and Tulsi more than I trust Axios, Politico, according to sources. Any of that nonsense bullshit. California Democratic lawmakers, they seek to create 2 new Muslim state holidays. Anyway, so yeah, just for any Californians, just so you know, this is the fun that they're trying to do up there in San Francisco. Of course it is. AB 2017, if you're up there and you're worried about whether or not, it's a San Francisco Democrat trying to put this stupid thing in. Come on, California. Again, it's not Islam, it's not Sharia, but we don't need more stupid gay holidays. That's for darn sure. So 2 things coming out. I'm not going to play this, but 2 things coming out of Nick. What's his name? Nick Shirley's put this out. But 2 major stories coming out about California's nonsense and how we're wasting insane amounts of money. So this is how hospice fraud apparently is working here. You get a small office in L.A., Los Angeles. You collect Medicare beneficiary numbers. You enroll people into hospice. You bill the government for millions. Yeah, if you get caught or become suspicious, you pack up and walk away with millions. End all the fraud. I'm actually going to say head shops operate like that. A lot of them. There's a few of them that don't have the permits. So what they do is they walk into businesses that are hurting, little retail stores, and they're like, hey, I'm going to give you a bunch of cash, and I'm going to pay 6 months rent up front. Are you cool with that? And they'll be like, all right, what are you doing? I don't know, working in a small office or what. I mean, whatever. Say whatever you want. You don't tell them exactly, but you set up a pot shop. People come in, you're flooding money. It's cash business. You got a dude that's got a gun inside, and it's literally how it is. And then someone finds out. Someone tells landlord, oh my God, I think they're selling pot. Cops. And then the cops show up and they're like, you can't do this without, do you have a permit? And they're like, yeah, we'll show it to you. And they write them a citation. It's like, okay. And then they move and disappear. Go somewhere else. They just pack up and go. They paid cash. Dude got his money. He can't, it's not a big deal. This is what they do. So yeah, there's a weird fraud thing that happens in many businesses. Many. Fraud is so severely rampant. Nick Shirley also walked up to 6 consecutive government-funded hospice providers in California and finds none of them are open. Miracle Healing, not a single piece of furniture. SX Home Health, closed. Alpha Omega Ventana Hospice, Grandma's not going to Alpha and Omega. I guess it's nasty. Serene Touch was closed. KMD Home Health completely empty and nobody was there. St. Michael's HHCL, no one's here. Not only are these shell companies, these are shell buildings. It's like somebody took a motel building and turned it into 100 fraudulent organizations. Who owns the building? This stuff is all being funneled money. Who owns the building? You're going to get into some of the families, certainly, the Pelosi's, the Newsoms, those types of people. They'll be the ones that own these buildings. Kansas introduces Medical Freedom Act would impose $50,000 fines for vax mandates or medical discrimination, meaning you can't force people to take vaccines and all that sort of nonsense. It's a good deal. Appeals court lifts a block on expedited third country deportations, essentially letting the government continue. They're calling it a victory. They're still working through it, and it is basically a victory. So Trump is allowed to do this. Now, this was Judge Brian Murphy. You've heard the name. He's actually been overturned, or at least his ruling was just paused by the Court of Appeals. Once again, he's wrong, and we'll find out how it plays out in the big picture. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s DHS to appeal the judge's ruling on the national vaccine policy. You guys, I talked about that the other day, how they literally said, no, you can't do that. Your board is actually illegal. So he's appealing that. That judge was Judge Brian Murphy. Familiar name, right? Wasn't that just the name here for the block on the expedited third country deportations? Weird. And he's the same one involved in the child vaccine policy problem? Brian Murphy? Weird. Isn't that strange? Don't you find that strange at all? I did. Got a judge that's skeptical over Trump's ballroom. Like, well, who's in charge of it? Like, doesn't Congress have to approve this? It's like Congress didn't put any money towards it. That's where Trump's got him in the tight, the shorts and curlies, right, man? This is an executive building, executive branch runs this building. It's their building, and he's modifying an existing structure. And it's done completely without taxpayer money. So Congress doesn't need to have anything to say with this. Now they're just dying right now that Trump is doing the shit he's doing. They're like, oh, you damn bastard. It's awesome. It's fun as hell. I'm loving it. I don't know about you. I feel like it's McDonald's commercial or something. U.S. Intel hid Chinese 2020 election meddling from Trump because they opposed his policies. They didn't want to give him fuel to the fire, basically. That's why they didn't tell him. It was politics. Yeah, the intelligence agency, how much political stuff was in there. So when Tulsi Gabbard got involved, obviously Ratcliffe and other stuff, they shut down two of the biggest sources of political damage. Tulsi over so many, CIA, such a monstrous beast, literally had to have one person that we could trust on that, right? And we do. Republican Andrew Rice, he defeats Democrat opponent in Virginia's special election. So the Republican guy got in. He even did better than her name, the black lady, Winston Earl Sears. Pretty awesome. She won this same seat, but barely. This guy just killed it. He just killed it. He 62% of the vote, and the other one had 37% below him. Like, he just owned it, rocked it, and he's now playing Guitar Hero or someplace, something cool. He's suspending gas tax. Emerges as a key issue in California gubernatorial race. I find this hilarious because there's no way in hell this would ever get passed, at least under the current situation. And we need fair elections, and then we'll see what happens. But the gas tax is saving California right now. The fact that the price of gas right now is extraordinarily expensive in California, it's over $5. And it's for the one, I got to get the good stuff. And it's six something right now. So that's gone up $1. I would say in the last 2 weeks since the war started. So they take advantage of it immediately. None of the gas that's been produced months ago, which is in the thing right now, or weeks ago, which is in the thing right now, none of that gas was the price that they're charging me for it. And of course the taxes are insane. So there's no way the current government of California would ever let that revenue, in fact, they'd raise it, if anything. And they don't want people driving with gas, but then when everyone stops doing it, they're going to have to figure out another way to rape you. They're trying to go to mileage for all the electric car drivers. Tried to get everyone to go electric, and then, yeah, there you go. So now they're not getting a bunch of tax money they're used to. Mike Lindell for governor. They should just charge way higher registration for people with electric cars, and then you just get fudged that way. Mike Lindell for governor. It's MikeLindellGov.com. MikeLindellGov.com. If you can help and will help, that would be great, especially if you're in that state. I think he's actually got a chance. Anyway, I'm going to play this. I hope you guys like it. You can speed it up if you want. You can skip past it. But I thought this was a fantastic interview with Mike, and I like what he's talking about. And it's super important to me to help him. I like him. I mean, he's a good guy. I've shook his hand even in real life, and he's been super cool to my channel, my world. So, of course, I want to remind you guys, mypillow.com. I'll keep that up on the screen the whole time. mypillow.com/OTF. OTF, baby. We're one of 4 channels that gets this sweet deal. And even Fox News isn't necessarily giving stuff. He's got some cool stuff, and I'll show you the screen afterwards. It's pretty awesome. Check it out. And Mike, it's super nice to have you back on the show again. And Mike's going to be talking about a lot of what he's got going on. And I just appreciate the opportunity to actually give you an extra platform, because you've got quite a big platform as it is already. But an opportunity to hear from you and hear what's going on. And you're very tied in with the elections. And now you're running for governor, which is very weird to run for stuff where you know the elections have got to be slightly questionable. But again, Mike, yeah, what's going on in your world? How can we help? How can you enlighten us?
Well, you got, like you say, I've got about 3 different big silos going on. With the governor campaign, what we're doing is I'm announcing next Monday and Tuesday, which I can kind of pre-announce here. We're completely changing the direction we're going to go. It's almost going to mimic our great president's campaign that I helped him on. We're planning to do like 75 rallies in 100 days throughout Minnesota.
Sweet. And
we're all over Minnesota, like mini rallies. Yeah. Obviously, they won't be as big as the president, but what I've learned in the last month or 2 months here of running for governor, you go to these governor debates, they give you like 3 to 5 minutes to talk, and you're not getting the message out to the people. This is to get the GOP endorsement, and right now I'm polling #1 with all the Republicans, with the people, and they're all focusing on the endorsement. I'm focusing on, we need to win Minnesota. I need to beat Amy Klobuchar. So my whole direction is turning to that. I have a pathway to being a pathway to win. It's a message of hope. In Minnesota, we've been blue since 1972, the longest of any other state. And it's like a depression. They're going, well, there's no chance. Why even bother and vote? And in 2020, now the president changed all that. In 2020, you had 250,000 people that voted for Donald Trump that didn't bother to vote in the 2022 election. So I'm going to engage them. I'm going to get to them and get them to tell them the urgency. It's critical that this midterm is the most critical midterm election in our country's history, and it's the only chance in Minnesota to win. Is that we have the biggest blessing ever to Minnesota that we've ever gotten. And what is that blessing?
All the fraud that we're aware of?
The fraud.
Yes.
The fraud.
I was wondering, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, the fraud is such a blessing, everybody.
Yes,
They need, I believe this is going to catapult to victory. I have so many things we're going to do. It's what, with all these welfare programs, the people they were intended for, remember, they got cheated too. But you got to, once you take out the fraud, prosecute all the fraud, stop the fraud. Now you need to look at each one of these programs. Do they really work? Is there a good return on the investment? Yeah. And this is my wheelhouse. I worked.
You're a businessman. I
worked on this stuff for 12 years in those with the homeless, with the people in need. This is what I did when I came out of addiction. So I've been working for 12 years in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Rochester, Minnesota, all these cities. This is my wheelhouse. I will.
And just to plug you a little further, you're like a savant when it comes to the numbers. You are a genius when it comes to that. And I'm not trying to crawl up his backside, guys. Right. He literally is. So when he gets into a position where he can get his hands on real numbers, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing too, you want to talk about numbers, everybody. We talk about illegals in Minnesota. That's another thing that's a big blessing. Having all the illegals, like in Minnesota, we house over, I believe it's 1,400 in our prisons in Minnesota. Now these are ones that have committed murder, rape, pedophile. These are the worst of the illegals. We pay $85,000 a year for each one, which is $110 million in Minnesota, just for the worst of the worst. Then you have most illegals will end up committing a crime. It's usually driving, a misdemeanor or a gross misdemeanor, but then they've committed 2 crimes. They're here illegally and they've committed this smaller crime. Well, if you have them, those are all in your jails. So now, if
ICE will take them off your hands for free.
If you just cooperated with them and had ICE pick them up there and get rid of them like other cities do, you don't have to go door to door.
It's safer. You don't have them in the streets, so you don't have people surrounding them and bumping and risking lives of Minnesotans. And it's
very common sense. There's so many common sense solutions.
I love it.
So many common sense solutions. But the biggest thing is we need a pathway to win. That's where I've completely, a week ago, after being in this for 2.5 months, said, hey, we're going to take a different direction. We need to win this. I have a national name where I can go out and raise money. We've already raised upwards of $1 million. It's going to take a lot of resources to beat Amy Klobuchar. And remember, Amy Klobuchar and I agreed on something in 2018 and 19. We both agreed. She was the loudest voice to get rid of the voting machines and go to paper ballots. I don't know if you know that. In the movie Kill Chain, everybody. Wow. Amy Klobuchar shouted the top of the rooftops to get rid of the machine.
Wow.
Okay. And now when we agreed on this, from the time we agreed on that, over the last 5 years, I've spent $60-70 million on cleaning up and trying to secure our elections, get rid of the machines, get the paper ballots hand counted, same-day voting. Amy, on the other hand, on the same path, she ignored that fraud, and she went to the federal government and solicited and got $20-some billion to bring to Minnesota, only to be taken by fraud. That's not a good stewardship of our money. So, you guys can help out there, MikeLindellGov.com. Where, that's it. To me, It's the only thing that can stop this amazing campaign we're pushing forward. I need everybody to help at MikeLindellGov.com.
MikeLindellGov.com. Just kind of a question. Don't have to answer it, but I'm curious. You're obviously going to be slimed. They're going to come after you hard. I could already hear a lot of the crazy stuff they're going to say about you. How do you feel like you're going to respond, and even what is kind of the best way to respond? Do you waste time defending it, or you just keep moving forward on the plan, or what?
You guys, this is my wheelhouse, you guys. I don't know how they could even. I have the most attacked company in history, MyPillow, by our own government. I've probably been the second most attacked person in the nation.
Aside from Trump,
this is what's happened. So my point being is, what they're doing now, Dan, is here's what the media does, especially our local media in Minnesota, which we have the worst paper in the United States, the Minneapolis Star and Tribune. Now, what they do is they don't even talk about me. They don't attack me. I've been using them for so long. When they attack me, I get the word out. I welcome that, and they know that. They know that. So they've been silent. In fact, this is why I'm going to be doing all these rallies. The Minnesota media, they're talking about these establishment Republican candidates that have been around for 2 years and the Speaker of the House. And, well, you know what? You need a different input to get a different output. We can't have the same old, same old. This happened just because they had an R in front of their name. This happened on their watch, too. It's got to end. So I don't believe you're going to see the media. I mean, what more could they do to me? What more could they attack? I don't know what they could actually do. Everybody knows everything about me. I did go on CBS Sunday morning a couple months ago, and she started to attack me and said, well, Mike, isn't MyPillow bankrupt? I said, no, who told you that? We were able to guide this through the biggest attack in history, and we're still standing in Minnesota, and in spite of all the attacks. And then she said, well, Mike, you lost $5 million on your evidence that you had. And I said, no. I said, that got overturned by the Eighth Circuit. They said Mike was right. All my evidence stands. And she didn't know it. She came very unprepared. So the media, I look forward to that. I hope they do attack me. I don't believe they're gonna. I believe they're gonna stay strangely silent out there, everybody. That's why I'm different plan. So
interesting. So you actually welcome them attacking you.
Oh,
frankly.
absolutely.
That's free publicity. No such thing as negative publicity.
You got to realize, you guys, I don't have Fox News or Newsmax. These guys that have went silent on me too. Fox is as bad as it gets when it comes to me. They don't want to talk about elections.
So they won't even have you on.
Oh no, they've had all my opponents on.
See, that's the thing. You're going against the deep state, and Fox is run by the deep
Fox
state.
Is as deep as it gets, right?
I mean,
so right. And
just because they have good ratings and they talk conservative doesn't mean they're
right.
actually good. So.
Hopefully Newsmax comes around. I'll be reaching out to them, but I think once I start doing these rallies, maybe Newsmax will come around. I know you have a lot of these other networks are going to be on the side. Real America's Voice and stuff
like that.
It's going to be OAN. Yeah. They're going to be there, but But anyway, so we got that going on. The other thing going on, everybody, is we are in process of moving MyPillow's factory, a brand new factory. We've been doing it for the last 4 weeks. We have 3 days left to get this move done. But what I want to do here for everybody is we have product in the warehouse. Our big ticket are mattress toppers and mattresses, and all of these closeout items. You save up to 80% off, and we're going to do free shipping for promo code OTF. Free shipping, so we don't have to move it twice. You guys, it's mypillow.com /
OTF.
OTF. You guys go there and get the free shipping. I've got a number. The number to call 800-654-4398. That's the direct number for you, Dan. 800-654-4398. You guys use that promo code OTF. This is exclusive. There's very few. I think there's 3 others that get to have this. Your audience has had our back. So you guys, free shipping on your entire order. We have just a few days to clear these items out. We don't want to move to the new factory. We want you to get the savings. Our employees are getting the same savings. So we're giving it to them. We're giving it to a few audience. Yours has had our back. So you guys go there. You have all the clothing lines we're closing out. Things you wouldn't even think about. Couch pillows, decorative pillows, all these things, slippers we're closing out. Up to 80% off, but the big ticket items that we don't want to move, the mattress toppers, the mattresses, you have a 6-month money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty. It's going to change your life 100% made in the USA, and free shipping right to your
man, you're
front
like
door.
giving away the Giza Dream Sheets right now. $29.98 starting out.
Yeah,
That's
they're as low as
ridiculous.
$29.98. That's
Wow.
another thing too, you guys. We're also, this is right in the middle of our second annual mega sale, our mega two, the second year of this. And so you guys get the Giza Dream Sheets as low as $29.98. You get the 6-piece towel sets, $34.98. You get the My Pillows, $14.98 for the standard, and you get the mattress toppers. I'm going to add one more thing to the mattress toppers, you guys. If you get the 3-inch one, if you get our new one, it's this new technology we have over there. Check it out, copper, silver infused, things that help you sleep. But we're also giving you 4 free gifts: 2 pillows, 2 pillowcases, besides the free shipping. So then check this all out, you guys, and it's a win-win-win.
Yeah, and you've got that on there, as seen on TV special. That's incredible. Man. Thank you.
Win-win-win. So we thank you all for that. So those are the 2. Then I have the third silo, like I'm speaking this afternoon. I'm still, you guys, going with my Cause of America, my Election Crime Bureau. We're all in to secure our elections. I mean, everyone says, well, Mike, you're running now. There's things that we have in place across the country, and there are going to be more and more as we get closer to the midterm. We pray that the SAVE Act goes through, everybody. That's a huge, huge thing. We have to, everybody, all your prayers should go into that. When I talk to our president, when I talk to him, he's, him and I have been in lockstep, because we both know the election is our election platforms are the most important thing to our country.
What I've been
nothing
saying.
else. Nothing else matters. It all comes from our elections. It can all go away in vain if we don't secure it. This is one step to getting closer to having the best elections in the world. Obviously, we need to get to paper ballots and count.
We got to get
to
the
be able
rolls
to
cleaned up, all this stuff.
at least to check people's IDs, and they got to prove they're a citizen. Huge, everybody. Huge.
I've been screaming that as well. I literally consider that the most important thing. I'm even laughing about these places where we're having elections to decide whether voter IDs needed. I'm like, you're going to have an election that's already a cheating election to vote for something that you're.
It's so nonsensical.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Think of all the things you have to show an ID for.
Yeah.
As recently as to shovel snow in New York by the socialists, 2 forms of ID.
2 pictures too. I don't even have 2 pictures of myself.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Oh, it's insane.
And when it's an 80% across the board of all people, no matter what party
I think it was 80. Yeah, depending on, but it's like 80+%. I mean, that's the thing. The Senate's worthless, and I'm wondering how many of them are literally going to choose to vote for the deep state. Let's just be honest and call it what it is. But I also wonder if there's going to be any Democrats that cross the line too. I mean, Fetterman probably will, but
well, they need, what we need is that talking filibuster or whatever. I mean, but it sounds like that this is just to show the public what the Democrats are, according to his little speech yesterday. But we'll see. At least they've opened the door. At least they've opened the door here, and maybe. This is one thing where it hasn't really happened before, where you have 80% of I think it's 79% of Democrat people want this. Now, they got to go directly, putting this in the public eye, directly against the people.
Yep.
A lot of times they're going, we don't know that we don't know that how much of the people really like the horrible things they're doing. Right. But we do know, like this transgender and men and women's sports.
Very unpopular.
We know that's about a 95.5.
It's horribly unpopular.
Probably 99.1. I mean, this is something that they if they would be smart, they would probably at least some cross to get this passed, because I think, you get to these midterms, I don't care what they're saying out there, there's no reason that anybody would be voting Democrat, and I think they're going to have to steal some of these elections or steal the midterms, and then maybe that's what we need to expose all the election crime and finally get to paper ballot. 2 things are going to happen. We're in for a collision. We are in for a collision the world has never seen when it comes to our elections.
And I think there's this old thinking process too, where anybody that is not going to vote Republican because they're pissed off or whatever is going to suddenly vote Democrat. I'm like, I don't think that world exists anymore. I think there's a lot of people that are pro this country and don't necessarily like the letters that are affiliated with their party, and a lot of independents are actually going to start voting for pro MAGA type people, and I think that's actually what we're going to start to see really in the big numbers. And
yeah, we need a common sense. It's like when I'm running for governor in Minnesota. I mean, this establishment there I'm running against this Lisa Damon.
Yeah.
She's Speaker of our House in Minnesota, and she's been around for years. And the last she gets up on the debate floor and says, a year and a half ago I did this with the fraud. I tried to push this through. Well, whatever you did didn't work, and you didn't shout enough. And there's $25 billion gone under your watch. I don't care about that little R by your name. I could care less about your
And she's
R.
got a much bigger platform in reality because she's where she's at, and she didn't make enough noise, like you said. And you have made noise all over this nation, way better than she did by any stretch. And you had to do it with your own money.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why, I need help, everybody. MikeLindellGov.com. But I will tell you this. When I'm governor, or as we get one thing, as governor, first thing I'd fire all the commissioners right out of the gate, pick new ones. But anything that would be blocked, I'm just like the president. I'm going to shout from the rooftop that I'm getting blocked, or that we're getting blocked for common sense things to push through. I've been dealing with this for 5 years, getting blocked in red states like Alabama, Louisiana, Arkansas. This is, these Republicans blocking us from getting to secure elections. This has been going on for the past 5 years, longer than that.
That's what people have to see right now, Mike, is who's actually on our team, who's on Team America and who's not. And it's going to be very disappointing for a lot of people to find out there's a number of people with R's next to their name that are not good people. And so it's just going to be like a dark night of the soul for a lot of people in this country, and we need to turn the corner. And I love the fact that you're helping and you're running. One thing I did want to ask, and you can have your people reach out to me if it's true, but if you're going to be offering any feeds for when you're doing your rallies, because some of the bigger ones, I would definitely like to stream that live while you're doing that and try to give you some extra love.
We are absolutely going to be doing that, and we are first one. I actually did a kind of a prototype one in Rochester, Minnesota the other day, and it was hundreds of people showed up, and we didn't even advertise, and I talked for 3 hours. The crowd said, keep going, so you're hearing all the messaging. But we will probably have, we're going to have live feeds. In the beginning, we probably won't in the beginning. I want to see how this is going. I'm going to put all the advertising in.
Put your money where you need to. I mean, for sure.
You're going to get the advertise to get the word out of the rally.
And I'll do that.
The people there. Yeah. And then afterwards, the messaging from there, we're going to put out everywhere. I have millions on my social media, millions on my email list. So putting that out. And also, another thing we're going to be doing is bringing in people that are going to endorse me, very big names. And, like the other day, I won't say all the different ones that are endorsed, but I know a lot of people, you bring them in, and I'm not even going to announce them to get to draw to the rally. I'm going to say, so-and-so showed up unannounced and endorsed Mike Lindell. I think this is going to be very powerful. I think what we have to get is the mainstream media talking about these rallies. So we'll be doing feeds. It'll be, I don't know right away, but very shortly, as this builds momentum and we get the everything in place of how we're going to do it. I've had a lot of experience watching the president. I probably attended over 170 rallies with him.
Yeah, you've been up on stage many times.
And I've been on the ground seeing how they set things up. But remember, these are going to be mini ones, and then we'll grow on that.
Yeah. Well, you've got my support 100%, and I will. I'll help however I can, Mike. I want to see you get over the finish line for sure. Minnesota needs a lot of help. Obviously, my state, California, needs a lot of help too. Too bad. Too bad you can't move here and run.
Dan, I want to tell you, you guys, one of the best things we have for these midterms came out of California, Shasta County. One of our guys used to be a Democrat. Now he's a common sense guy, Clint Curtis. He came up with, and California let him do it in the 2020 election, or the 2024 election. where it's like another camera system. It's like having another angle on the election. It turns those machines basically into counters. It's amazing, and this is what we're putting out everywhere across the country.
Love it.
So it came right out of your state of California.
Wow.
There's hope in California, trust me.
There's a chance. There's a chance. Thank you, Mike, for coming and talking with us, and thank you for the amazing deals, and we will definitely help. In fact, I might try to, I'll talk with your people, but I might try to actually even come out and do a live broadcast from one of your
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I would love to be able to do that. And anyway, we'll work those things out. I wish you the best, sir, and please come on, let me know. We've been working fine through the channels we've been doing, so you let me know when everything's good. I'd love to have you back on, and we'll do this.
Keep you updated. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, God bless, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye. I like that guy. I like that guy a lot. Mike's an interesting guy, but he's who he is. He's authentic. That's one thing I'll tell you for sure. Appreciates hard work and dedication and all that stuff. But I'll tell you, he's also one of those people where if you kind of F him, he's never going to forget it. It's like Trump. He's just a hardcore business guy. It's like you don't get ahead by just, doing nonsense, right? So apologize. My mic was a little hot. I was trying to deal with the fact that it was Zoom. They're really weird about the microphone, and I was paying attention to it because normally I'm really low compared to Mike. So anyway, I'll work on that. And all said, we're going to probably go out to Minnesota. If any of the intergroup is in Minnesota or like really close to that area, I would ask any of you to maybe reach out to me and just be like, hey, yeah, I live close to there. What's up? And I'll just be like, all right, let's keep tabs. Just because when stuff happens, I don't know what a big one is, and I don't know. Well, I want to pick one that's not going to be ridiculous. Anyway, we'll talk more. But I'm going to definitely come out probably doing one live show for sure from Minnesota. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And it could be good in the big picture. Who knows? But it would be fun, and I like Mike a lot. And, yeah, there you go. All that said, I will be supporting him. And if that bothers anybody, maybe, sorry. But for the most part, yeah, I hope to help. Also, again, Mike Lindell. Gov.com, and it's Lindell is Lindell, right? Lynn and Dell. So again, Mike Lindell, Gov.com. Help him out, and hopefully that is something we can make a difference on. That'd be cool. Anyway, we'll see. We're at war. Ecuador deploys 75,000 troops. They are going to war against the narco terrorists that are down there, literally bringing in some anti-cartel missile strikes and stuff, like some legit shizzles going down. They are like gung-ho Columbo. I didn't even know Ecuador had this kind of military might. They're like, literally, we're like, I don't know, look kind of like Vietnam a little bit. Ecuador, you're very not good at this. What? There's no even like you didn't even have somebody just shooting out the side just for shits and giggles. Like, man, whatever. Supposedly it's going well. There's a lot of Spanish talk saying something and something. There's a few things that they say. But yeah, long story short, that's happening right now. Russia warns against Trump plans to take over Cuba. They're shaking a finger at us. They are wagging that finger quite sternly. In fact, I would even say there was a furrowed brow during the wag. There was more of a, like that. Right? Yeah. Just so you felt it. I wanted you to be there for the moment. Some of you don't. By the way, Ukraine's like, nobody's giving them money. So where'd they go? To the Royal Crown. Oh. I wonder if he speaks for the city of London or the city within the city. Or if he's literally giving crown money from you British people. I don't know. I don't know who's on the hook for this one. But Zelensky's got a coke habit, man. I mean, let's be honest, dude. Come on. You guys used to a type of lifestyle, and you can't just take that away from them. Here in California, that's what they think with divorces, apparently. Iran... they have actually, in fact, confirmed the death of Ali Larijani and another key loss of leadership. I say those names with such confidence, don't I? Yes. But yeah, they've confirmed the death, I guess. So this is top national security chief. And there was the other dude, Golom Reza Soleimani, which rolls off the tongue. Those two died. So we talked about that yesterday. There is confirmation. Outside of that, nothing in there worth a crapola. Here's kind of, it doesn't really get big properly, but they've kind of, a lot of people aren't alive anymore in the power structure. Now, a lot of people are wondering about Mojtabi Khomeini, or Khomeini. I don't want to try to say all these names properly because one, I won't, and two, yeah, I don't know. There needs to be a two. His dad, Ali, he's no longer with us. Ali Shamkhani, he's also not with us. Mohammed Pakpour, Aziz Nazaridzadeh, right? There's just a whole string of no longer alive. So there's very few. So the other leaders, so they've got Masoud Pezeshkian, he's like the prime minister, foreign minister, or whatever. He's like president. Okay, I guess is the title. He is still alive. They have not tried to hurt him. In fact, he might be the one that helps lead this, and I think Trump, to a large extent, is wondering if he's like, yeah, I got some other IRGC people that are kind of making my life tough. Can you smoke this building here, 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 and here? I marked them on the map. I sent it back to you. I hope that's okay. I used your text number. Maybe. Whatever the case is, a lot of people are wondering, are they playing together? I think they are. Of course they are. I think Trump is involved with all the world. He's gone to everybody, shook hands, looked him in the eye, and figured out what's up. Everybody. Trump is taking down the deep state with the world's most powerful military ever created. That's why he brags about it. The reason he brags about it is not to make necessarily countries go, oh no, the United States is going to kill us, but because it's meant to tell the deep state. I literally flew in, I shut down Chinese and Russian radar, landed at a military base, took the commander, president of the country out of that military base into my helicopter and flew him away. And you all almost fired a missile. It seemed to have fallen back to the earth somehow. That said, let the games begin. And they have. They're happening multi-front, all over the place right now. You want to talk about the Ides of March? Et tu, Brute, might very well be the response that we, the good guys, are providing. And of course they're being attacked. Hello. Allied airstrikes, they've just killed another Iranian leader. Ismail Khatib was targeted. President Trump with violence. This guy is no longer with us. I guess we'll play this. What the hell? This guy's kind of fun over there at Israel. I mean.
A senior Israeli official telling Fox News that Ismail Khatib, Iran's intelligence minister, was killed in a precision strike overnight. Khatib was responsible for managing Iran's global cells, these sleeper cells in countries around the world that even threatened U.S. politicians and President Trump. This official says this man had blood on his hands, American blood. They go on to say that Khatib was actually the only person to survive the opening round of strikes in Operation Epic Fury that killed Iran's supreme leader. Those 40 officials killed in around 40 seconds.
My guess is that the intelligence had the assessments of people that might be willing to turn. And so likely if they could, I mean, if they had choices, would kill the ones that they knew were problematic and leave the one that they would try to negotiate with. Like they had their cell number. They're like, text them. Just Donald Trump's like, text them and say, are you willing to be our friends? You know? And then he's like, no, fuck you. And he's like, all right, and smoke him. You know, and that guy's dead now. It's like, all right, anybody else? Well, step up to the plate. Come on down, bada. Hey, bada. Swing, bada. And we are in it. CIA director confirms Iran seeking intelligence supports from Russia and China. Ratcliffe, I believe, said this. It was pretty cool. Again, great stuff. The Iranians are requesting intelligence assistance. He was very careful how he couched it and said it. And basically, it's like he didn't say what they've gotten, if it's anything, whether it's a fit. Like, it was all the open public stuff. And again, we have these senators trying to get them to say stuff publicly. It's like, we're in the middle of this crazy thing, and you can't be honest with us? It's like, this is CIA. No, he can't be honest with you. No. Like 95% of this dude's day is top secret. And I'm just saying the 5% is probably when he's actually walking to and from his car. So no. U.S. dropped a bunch of 5,000-pound bunker busters. News at 11. And the underground missile sites. This was on the Strait of Hormuz area. Now they give a little view of this area. What's tricky about it is the part that's colored Iran looks like water. So it makes me think anyway that the north part is water. It's like, no, that's Iran up here. And this is the Strait of Hormuz, this little bit of white. Because, you know, water's white. Anyway, this little area is where they're talking. Well, this is where like Karg Island and all that shiz is. Like, that's the place. That's where it's happening. That's the juicy spot. That's the yum-yums. So that is where we're hitting giant bunker busters, hitting these underground tunnels. Well, they got all these things underground. They're going to attack us forever. They're like, yeah, so here's us destroying all of those underground tunnels. We had a B-52 fly over, or we had a whatever. Probably stealth bombers. And we are using our military. It's all going to need some serious maintenance. That's for sure. But they were dropping 5,000 pounders. Now, typically they were talking about the 2,000 pounder. Big difference. 5,000 pounds. Again, it's not that it's going faster when it hits the ground. It's that the kinetic energy is significantly higher. Right? It's like E equals MC, or not equals. It's mass times velocity squared. I guess it's divided by 2 or something like that. But it's, which I don't remember. That's like, to me, that's a Mandela effect, by the way. But anyway. Whatever the case is, that's the new physics. But yes, that is the energy, though. The energy is about the speed and the weight, or the mass, really. But yes, crazy. So we are blowing the stuff up that is on this, by the way, is the other side of this. This is where all the attacks against shipping seem to be happening. Just nuking these tunnels, these underground tunnels, there's not a lot they're going to be able to do. I mean, it's just not. They've done it in proper... And if the bombings are, I don't know how they can set explosives and stuff like that, but I mean, I guess if they're like hyperbaric or anything crazy like that, or any sort of the right kind of explosive inside a tunnel that's just got a bunch of shit in it that you want to destroy, like I'm sure there's some, they got that, you know, and that's what they're dropping on it. So we probably got some crazy ass shit that just smoked these dudes. And Trump's going to be like, yeah, they don't have anything. Here's where they had a whole series of underground tunnels. You'll notice here's a hole, here's a hole, here's a hole. This, again, everyone's going to be like, it's not true. And be like, you tell me a place what they've supposedly, there's a rumor they got something, and I'll show you a friggin' smoking hole in the ground, all right? Fudge you back at your mother. There you go. Trump administration seeking alternative fertilizer supplies are already on it. Like when they said, how'd you not know about the Strait of Hormuz? They did. They wanted the world to sit on this problem. We hardly have any oil coming from the Persian Gulf. That's it. Even if it's an American flagged ship, we kind of don't give a shit. It's not our stuff. I mean, we do, but we don't. We want the rest of the world to show to everybody else that they can't do shit. And this is going to be where the Trump's going to make a deal with NATO. Because they didn't help us when we needed them. Interesting. So Trump's already on top of this shit. We're finding out a small factory in China is producing civilian products requested by client. The client was in such a hurry that they paid a full amount up front. These are giant, full-size drones. These are the same suicide drones that they normally would have. We don't need that on there, but per se, I mean, the music's lovely. But yeah, there's their warheads or tips, and there's their smaller winglets and probably rudders. So they're building them by the butt tons, as we say in the business. I don't know what these guys do specifically. Flight controls, probably. Just giant remote control planes. That's so crazy. Anywho, what's also funny, and I see a lot of this, is there's this discussion that we're still shooting down missiles drones with missiles, and we're not, for the most part. We, United States, are not, for the most part. France is, yes, and others. And we do use some in some cases, depending if they're ballistic missiles they're using against us or something else. But for the most part, we're able to protect places with less expensive means. Missiles, I would assume, is only for very sensitive targets where they would actually be willing to use that. So there's this discussion that you're running out of ammo. Again, there's a lot of fear porn being put out. I would say 90% of the fear porn or more is coming from people that are trying to influence this in a direction. Be mindful of that. It's literally. Apparently, Zelensky is in high demand out there in this Iran conflict. He says there's 200 Ukrainian drone operatives that are working right now trying to help shoot down drones in certain strategic places where they need some help. So they bring their own little equipment, these cheap little things, and they probably pay a bunch of money, and that money is going to Ukraine right now. So that's good in its own right, right? But again, Zelensky's probably trying to figure out how he can steal it. You know, you just make that check out to, that's Volodymyr? Yeah, the Volodymyr. Yeah, not yeah, the other way, yeah, with the O. Craziness. Crewless Russian fuel tanker that's just floating around in the Mediterranean right now. Crewless, literally. Listing, which means it's floating to a side, for those that don't know stuff like that. I don't know. That said, I said no children should be watching this, so who knows? I don't know what's going on. But this thing's got liquid natural gas, a bunch of it, and a bunch of diesel for the fuel that it drives with, or sails with, whatever the hell. And that said, this thing might sink. Might create a bit of a toxic problem in the Mediterranean because of a Ukrainian attack on a Russian ship in the Mediterranean, very close to a certain coast right now, Italy. And it would cause a oil spill in front of Italy. Think that's on accident? No, because otherwise there'd be people helping this thing, wouldn't there? But they're not. Deep State wants this. Deep State on some of these dark fleets, they blame Russia, but I wonder if a lot of these dark fleets are probably specifically Deep State fleets. And one thing I also keep wondering about, because many of us are aware or have been under the understanding that there was a deep state, full-blown carrier strike group. Now, it's probably not been upgraded since Trump took office initially, but at least of that quality by that point in time. And there's a lot of questions about the state of that one. There's been some weird rumors that carriers have been, a carrier at least, have been destroyed. I think Ben Fulford's one of the people most that I heard this from, but which, you know, I don't trust much from him anymore, unfortunately. But still, it was just like, all right, maybe there's some truth to it. If there is, then I wonder if it's the deep state one that got smoked. Again, carriers are very hard to sink. Very hard to sink. Very, very hard. Like, look up online, like when they turn one into a reef, how hard it is to sink one of these boats. You shoot them with all sorts of shit. They'll, for the most part, keep floating. Russia touts capture of a dozen Ukrainian settlements in opening weeks of March. So Russia's taken a bunch of towns, like 12 or something like that. 12 settlements. Yeah, I guess it's bold. One would say it probably caught my attention. Italy's restricting who can become Italian. They're finally getting serious in Europe. They're like, all right, we're not gonna tolerate this nonsense of people coming into the country and fudging it up. They're waking up. Some of the serious countries that are doing it too is pretty cool. The ones that are tight with Trump, right? However they got to play publicly. I hate Trump. I'm not supporting this war, and they don't need to. And Trump would tell Maloney that all day long. He'd be like, yeah, it's cool. You don't need to. You guys don't have any fucking military. Why would you? And she's like, I know, right? Like, what are we gonna do? Send a helicopter? Come on. Trump probably laughed. Ha ha ha. Totally. Say it. That'll be awesome. And that would be the story. It'd be fun. And they'd be like, next call. And Trump just takes calls, for an hour. He's just like, all right. Just being funny. That's probably how it works. Yeah, crazy. Europe's going to go through a little bit of a forced change in the coming 6 months. It's going to be very, very fun. Again, world's changing, folks. This isn't some we're going back to anything. The world that we once were in during our exodus, it will not resemble where we once, or where we become, I should say, where we go. The worlds will not look the same. You will be shocked. You will be amazed, and you will be impressed. Not that it's me. I didn't do this. I was just walking with you guys. I had a flashlight. That's all I did. They gave me a flashlight. I was cool with it. I was like, all right. Economic engine and military machine. We're talking about Germany. They're starting to get pissed off about what's going on. They're pivoting to a war stance. Now, again, there's this rumor that in maybe a few years that we have maybe some sort of confrontation from above. You know, crazy rumors, just throwing out stuff. And it's funny because the whole world's building up, Golden Dome, the whole world's sort of building up this thing right now, preparing for war. Why? What are we worried about? China? No. Or is it Antarctica? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be. The ice wall, maybe we're going past it. Just for any flat earthers, I want to keep you on board on this one. Even though we've got a meteor that people are tripping on right now, and I'm curious. I'm not trying to be a dick, but I am curious what you guys think about meteors, because you kind of got to explain them. And if there is a shield around us, where do they, how does that happen? Is that just dust floating around up there or some shit? I don't know. Just wondering. Economic engine, yes. That's enough of that. Musk is talking about Neuralink. I wanted to pose just because this is kind of one of those third rail things, but this is sort of, in my mind, it's kind of a fun one. I feel like we'll see if I can tap dance on this. But I love the fact that everybody's kind of got a very strong opinion about Neuralink being there. And I shut it down, keep it going, whatever. Here's a couple questions I wanted to pose first off. First, if something is available to others, and you choose not to get it because you think it's morally wrong or something, you don't like it, whatever, I don't know, right? Like, you have your reasons. Is that okay? Or because you don't like it and think it's bad and evil, that you think nobody should be able to do that, or it should never be available, even though there might be some positive benefits to it? Again, just asking. And then my other question would be, all right, we don't use it. So it's easy. We'll just go black and white on that one real quick and just kind of be like, all right, hell no, never going to use that at all. And then, God forbid, something happens to you, right? And maybe you can't see anymore. Or maybe you can't move anymore. Or maybe you can't do something anymore that you used to be able to. And someone's like, well, you could put this Neuralink thing into you and you'd actually be able to, react with this thing over here, and it would be able to kind of allow you to do some stuff. Would you choose to do it, or would you still be like, no, maybe, and that's a question I ask, just for any of you that ever, would you, if you were totally lost your ability to experience life the way you currently do, and this thing could possibly help you do it, would it be okay? Now, again, I understand all the freaky side part, I get that, but it's like any tool. It could be used for good and bad. So I wonder. I think it's a complex thing. Now, speaking of things that's kind of funny, I don't know, it's kind of funny. They make a big deal about this. It's 96% accuracy on this robot playing tennis. By the way, first off, look at the size of the head of this racket. This is a giant-ass racket. But this is kind of crazy cool that this level of technology exists.
Among all athletic scenarios, tennis is one of the most challenging tasks for humanoid robots in fast-paced rallies.
Okay, we don't need to listen to the talkie. But, I mean, it's a freaking robot. It's playing tennis against a human that's obviously good. Now, the robot's not, good at just rallying, right? This guy wants to win. He's like a dick. He's probably going to jump over the net, trip on it, and bust his fake face. But still. But yeah, I mean, the dude playing against him is doing his best to hit it as nicely and easily as possible to the robot. Still, kind of impressive. Again, not giving pro to China, but China's way further along with humanoid robotics than we are. But yeah. Again, we'd probably just steal the technology from them like they do from us. We'd just be like, yeah, no, that's cool. You guys go ahead and produce it. We'll steal the blueprints and improve them like we did with your guys' stupid lawn dart flying machine. Dude, look at that. Oh, making you work for it. Yeah, the instructor got beat. Oh, please. could smoke this stupid little robot, dude. Just go tearing it down next to the alley, right? Just right down the side. Whoop-ah! Fuck you. And then just like, be like, bitch, and scream at that stupid little robot. Probably not appropriate. People would look at you funny, but it would be, I was thinking Happy Gilmore, you know, kind of that, if you could go with me on that mental image, wherever I was. All said, I love you guys. I know I went a little long. Mike Lindell's, it was the interview, I told him 15 minutes, but come on, it was my fault. Always, come on. I can't help myself. We asked some good questions, I think. What do you guys think? We got the best coupon code, though. Dude, check it out, mypillow.com/OTF. mypillow.com/OTF. Take advantage. Free shipping. Get something cool, especially that Topper Deals sweetness. That's what that thing is. All set. We will, great music show. I was supposed to tell you guys about that. And my music show, okay, so Boston's what I inspired it. Like I said, it's because the second singer died, which I felt was a weak way to do it, but I love Boston so much. I'm like, hell yeah, we're doing that. So I got Boston. I've got ELO. I've got Toto, which, by the way, the fourth song was tricky, but I found one that it's a little slow, kind of for the set, but fourth song was kind of tricky with Toto. But I got 3 gnarly, awesome, kick-ass songs, and then one pretty good song. You've heard it before. It's Toto. And, of course, we are doing Moody Blues. I thought that was a good accompaniment. Accoutrement? I don't know. A good group of people that I think are going to flow. So that's going to be my music show Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Easterns when it's live. If you want to be a part of it, it's fun. We got a really cool group of people that if you're somebody that's in the MAGA community, you might want to just log in and just see. Maybe someone will say something. You'll be like, no way, I didn't know that. And then all of a sudden, you'll be hooked. You'll be hooked just like the rest of us. Good group of people. So please check it out. And then Law of One, we're finishing up. We're getting close. I don't know, 5 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks, somewhere in that vicinity. But I have voiceovered all of it. I've got one more to edit, which I'll do today. And we'll be ready to roll for that. And that's Thursday, same time as like what I do on Friday. But that's smaller audience. Don't worry about that one. You don't need to check that out. These are not the droids you're looking for. All that said, I love you guys. And we've got a big world that we're changing. And it's because of you guys it's happening, the change. That's it in a nutshell. And I thank you guys for being part of this ripple-making machine because you are. And you're making it from your standpoint. You know, there's a few things I hope we're hitting center topics together. But now just make ripples, man. Make ripples, all of you, every one of you. Change the world. And we will enjoy the benefits of that. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.